Let's talk about something that's equal parts thrilling and terrifying, the idea of sleeping with a younger man. Now, I'm not here to shame desire. Attraction is attraction there. You're not too old for passion, and you're definitely not too mature for adventure. If anything, older women often carry a kind of magnetic confidence that younger men crave. They are. You know who you are. You've stopped apologizing for taking up space. And that's intoxicating. But here's where the emotional landmines, like you see, what starts off as light and playful quickly turn into confusion, disappointment, or even heartbreak if you step into it with the wrong expectations, or worse, no boundaries. Too often, I see incredible women lowering their standards just to keep a younger man interested. You start to worry about being too serious, too available, or too much. And suddenly, you're not living your truth. You're performing for his approval. So let's get this straight. Sleeping with a younger man isn't wrong. What is wrong is doing it from a place of insecurity, fear, or fantasy. Because if you go in blind, hoping for something he was never going to give you, you'll walk away feeling used, confused, and undervalued. This isn't about judgment. It's about empowerment. I want you to feel in control of your choices, not reactive, not unsure, not desperate for his validation. So before you take that step there, ask yourself this: do I know the game I'm playing? Do I understand the rules? Am I choosing this man from my strength or from my emptiness? Because when you lead with clarity and self-respect, no man, older or younger, can take advantage of you. Let's break down the 6 truths you must know before sleeping with a younger man. A younger man can feel like a rush of oxygen in a room that's felt stale for too long. He notices you. He flirts with abandon. He doesn't carry the same baggage older men do. And for a moment, you feel seen again, not as someone's ex-wife, not as a mother, as a career woman juggling everything, but as a woman, desired, chosen. And that feeling, it's addictive, that there. But here's the trap: when you sleep with a younger man hoping he'll fill a void inside you, you're stepping into emotionally dangerous territory. Realize there, because that void isn't really about him, it's about you. It's about needing validation, needing to feel relevant again. Realize that there, or needing to prove to yourself that you've still got it. And while it may feel empowering in the moment, the emotional hangover comes fast and hard when the high wears off. They realize that there, you might tell yourself it's just fun. You might even believe that you're detached, that you're in control. But the truth is, when we're running from something inside, whether it's a past heartbreak, loneliness, or a fading sense of confidence, we don't see people clearly. We project onto them, realize that we turn a fleeting connection into a fantasy. We exaggerate their depth just because we're desperate to feel something deeper within ourselves. And when he inevitably fails to meet that emotional need, because he was never built to in the first place, you start to feel disoriented. You wonder why he pulled away, why he stopped calling, why he's suddenly dating someone else. You blame him for being immature or selfish. But deep down, you know the truth. You were asking him to play a role in your healing that wasn't his to play. This isn't about blaming there. It's about freeing you from thinking that your worth is tied to who wants you, freeing you from the idea that desire equals love. And most of all, realize that they're freeing you from confusing excitement with connection. Because here's the thing: it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to want to be wanted. But you have to be honest with yourself about why you're letting someone into your bed, if it's because you feel whole already. And this is just an extension of that joy. Beautiful. But if it's because you're trying to fill a silence, you're scared to sit in pause, don't run from it. Face it. Feel it. Because the moment you realize you don't need him to feel worthy, there is the moment you take your power back. Then, and only then, can you decide whether you want him. Not from a place of lack, but from choice. That's the difference between falling into something and rising to something. And you deserve the kind of connection that rises with you. We live in a world where we glorify chemistry, that the spark, the butterflies, the feeling that you can't stop smiling when his name pops up on your phone. And with a younger man, that spark can be even more intense. He's spontaneous, realize that they're unpredictable, sometimes even a little reckless. It makes you feel alive again. But here's what we don't talk about enough: how that intoxicating chemistry can mask complete lack of emotional availability. And when you're craving connection, that can be a dangerous illusion. A younger man may say all the right things. He might be texting you constantly, telling you how different you are, how you get him in ways no one else does. Realize that there. And it's easy to confuse that attention with depth. But consistency isn't the same as connection. Just because someone is present in the moment doesn't mean they're building a future with you. Many younger men are still figuring out who they are. That's not an insult. That's just reality. They're navigating careers, identity, commitment, and freedom all at once. And while their energy may feel thrilling, it doesn't necessarily come with emotional capacity. You might find yourself opening up, being vulnerable. Realize that they're investing your time, heart, and body only to realize that he can't meet you there. They realize that they're not, because he's a bad guy, because he's not ready to carry the kind of emotional weight you're bringing to the table. This is where the pain creeps in silently there, because when someone gives you glimpses of intimacy, just enough to keep you hooked, but not enough to build something real, you start blaming yourself. You think you did too much. Or wanted too much, or moved too fast. But the truth is, just misreading intensity for intimacy. He might genuinely like you. He might be attracted to you there, but if he's emotionally unavailable, none of that matters. You're left constantly trying to figure out where you stand, why he's hot and cold, and what you can do to win his affection back. Realize that's not a connection. That's an emotional chaos. And deep down, you already know it. When you're constantly second guessing yourself or walking on eggshells to keep someone's interest, you're not in a relationship. You're in a negotiation with your own self-worth. So ask yourself this: does he truly see you? Not just your beauty or your energy, but your life, your wisdom, your values. Does he hold space for all of that? Or is he just chasing a thrill? Because the right man, regardless of age, won't leave you questioning where you stand. He'll meet your depth with his own. He'll match your emotional investment with consistency, clarity, and care. And that's not something that comes from age. It comes from maturity. Realize that their maturity is never found in a man's birth certificate. It's found in his behavior there. One of the biggest mistakes women make, especially with younger men, is being afraid to ask what he really wants. I get it. You don't want to come across as intense, clingy, or like you're trying to lock him down. You worry that if you bring it up, he'll disappear. So you play it cool. You keep it light. You tell yourself there, let's just see where this goes. But deep down, you already know where it's going nowhere. And the silence you thought would protect you is slowly becoming the thing that betrays you. Let's be reeling. If a man runs at the first sign of a real question, especially one as basic as, what are you looking for? That's your answer. You don't need a complicated analysis. You don't need to wait for more signs. That moment right there, that's all the information you need. A younger man might charm you with his unpredictability, his spontaneity, realize that and the illusion of depth. But if he can't articulate his intentions, or worse, avoids the conversation altogether, realize that it's because he either hasn't thought about it, or he has, and he's just not being honest with you. That vague. Let's not label it. Talk. That's code for, I want the benefits without the responsibility. And if you're honest with yourself, that's probably not enough for you. You deserve clarity. Realize that you deserve to know where you stand. Because when you don't ask the hard questions, you don't actually avoid rejection. You just delay the heartbreak. Realize that you keep hoping that if you give him more time, more freedom, more love, he'll eventually wake up and realize how incredible you are. But love isn't earned through silence. Realize that they're aimed through truth. And I know some part of you fears that by asking, you'll scare him away. But if a man can be scared off by honesty, by openness, by a simple conversation about your needs, why on earth would you want to sleep with him, let alone give him access to your body and your heart? Having standards isn't demanding. It's discerning. When you ask what he wants, you're not being needy, you're being self-respecting. You let him show you his capacity, not his charm. And if he can't answer with clarity, he's telling you he's not emotionally available, regardless of how many sweet texts he sends or how great the chemistry feels. You don't ask questions to trap a man. You ask to free yourself, to know what game you're actually playing. But once you have the truth, you can make a decision from power, not fear. And that's when you stop choosing and start choosing. Remember, a woman who asks what she wants to know isn't difficult. She's dangerous in the best kind of way. Realize that because she values her time, she knows her worth, and she's not afraid to walk away when the answer is silence. If you feel like you have to keep your relationship with a younger man a secret, it's time to ask yourself why. Because here's the thing, when something feels real, you want to share it. Realize you want to introduce him to your world, bring him into your life and celebrate the connection. But if instead you find yourself avoiding questions from friends, editing your stories or dodging judgment from people around you, that's not chemistry, that's a red flag. Now, let's be clear, people will always have opinions. Some might raise their eyebrows at your age gap. That's their problem. What matters is your internal compass. Are you hiding him want to protect your relationship from negativity? Or are you hiding him because deep down, realize that you're not confident in how he fits into your life? There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is about protecting your peace. Secrecy is about avoiding discomfort. Realize and if you're not being honest with the people closest to you or with yourself, then you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. You're trying to keep the fantasy alive by keeping reality out. And let's not ignore the deeper pain here, because when you feel like you have to shrink parts of your life to fit someone in, it chips away at your confidence. You start saying no to things you once loved. You start making excuses. You start lowering your voice in rooms where you used to speak freely. And the worst part, he might not even ask you to do this, but the fear of losing him makes you start cutting away parts of yourself bit by bit just to make the relationship seem more comfortable. But a man who truly values you, regardless of his age, won't want you to hide. Realize he won't want to be a secret you're ashamed to talk about. He'll want to stand beside you, not just sneak behind the scenes. And if he's not ready to walk with you in the light of day, they realize then he's not ready for you. Full stop. You didn't spend years building your identity, your life, your strength. Just tuck it away behind closed doors for someone who only wants to show up when it's convenient. You are not too old, and you are not too powerful. The right man will see your life, your ambition, your history, and respect every part of it. So if you're hiding the relationship, don't just ask why others wouldn't accept it. Realize ask why you're accepting a version of love that only survives in the dark. Because real connection doesn't ask you to hide. It invites you to shine. They realize and any man who dims your light to feel more secure in his own, he was never your equal to begin with. They realize one thing that's often overlooked when it comes to relationships between older women and younger men is the dynamic of power. I'm not talking about manipulation or control. I'm talking about the subtle energy shifts that happen when someone is insecure about what the other person brings to the table. As an older woman, you may have your life together. You've built a career, survived heartbreak, grown into your confidence, and learned how to set boundaries. That kind of strength is attractive, but to the wrong man, it can also be intimidating, especially to someone still trying to figure out who he is. If a younger man hasn't done the inner work, they realize your power won't inspire him, it'll threaten him. And the way that shows up isn't always obvious. It starts small. Maybe he jokes about how serious you are. Maybe he makes comments about how you're always in control or bossy. At first, you brush it off. He's just teasing, right? But soon you find yourself second guessing your opinions. You hesitate before sharing your accomplishments. You feel the need to downplay your success just to make him feel more comfortable. And before you know it, realize you're not in a relationship anymore. You're managing someone else's insecurity at the expense of your own confidence. That's the trap. When a man feels inferior and you feel the need to compensate for it. The balance is already broken. You become smaller so he can feel bigger. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. You start to lose yourself, not because he asks you to, but because you chose to make him more comfortable instead of standing in your power. But here's the truth. When a man is truly confident, they realize that your power won't make him shrink. It'll excite him. A secure man, regardless of age, loves being with a woman who knows what she wants. He doesn't just tolerate your strength. Realize that he respects it, learns from it, grows with it. He doesn't need to compete with you because he's secure enough in himself to celebrate who you are. There. So if you find yourself constantly managing his ego, walking on eggshells around his pride, or dimming your achievements to keep the peace, that's not love. That's imbalance. Realize that's a warning sign that he's not ready to stand beside a woman of your caliber. Realize that you didn't work this hard on yourself to end up in a dynamic where you're mentoring a man who should be meeting you. They realize that you're not here to coach him into manhood. You're here to be met in partnership. And if that's not what you're getting, then it's not worth your energy. Then never apologize for being powerful. The right man will admire it. The wrong one will resent it. And the difference between the two, one will rise with you. Realize that the other will try to keep you low so he can feel taller. Choose wisely. So many women stay in situations far longer than they should because they're afraid of what will happen if they walk away. And when you're involved with a younger man, that fear can be amplified. You worry if you stop being fun, spontaneous, sexy, or chill, he'll lose interest. That if you ask for too much, show too much, feel too much, he'll run. So you hold back, you play the role he's used to. You suppress the parts of you that are deep, powerful, they're even a little messy, just to keep the fantasy alive. But here's the true thing: if you're afraid to lose him, he already has too much power. That fear becomes a prison. Suddenly realize that every move you make is about protecting the connection instead of living freely within it. You censor yourself, you give more than you receive. Realize that you tolerate things that don't align with your standards because you're scared that enforcing those standards will push him away. Realize that. But a relationship built on fear of loss isn't intimacy, it's survival mode. And that's not where love grows. Real intimacy isn't about constantly auditioning for someone's affection. Realize that it's about being fully yourself, your joy, your softness, your complexity, and knowing that you're safe in that space. But when you're with someone who hasn't matured enough to hold that space with you, you'll always feel like you're walking on a wire. One wrong step and he's gone. Now, let me say something important. The right man won't be scared off by your needs. He won't flinch when you say, "This is what I want." He won't disappear when you show vulnerability. If any of those moments will deepen his attraction to you because he's ready for something real. But if a younger man sees your standards as pressure or your honesty as drama, is not rejecting you, he's revealing his limitations. And that's a blessing. You deserve to know that you can speak up, lean in, pull back, take space, set boundaries, and still be loved. You deserve a relationship where your authenticity costs you connection. It creates it. And you'll never find that with someone who makes you afraid of the exit. Realize that because here's the secret: when you fear walking away, you give up your power. But when you're willing to walk away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, that's when you gain control of your life again. That's when you stop reacting to men and start choosing them. So before you give your body, your heart, your time to a younger man, ask, "You'll still do this if I weren't afraid to lose him?" If the answer is no, then the connection isn't love. It's attachment. And you don't need more of that. You need alignment. Because the right man won't require a performance to stay. He'll fall for the real you and never ask you to be anything less. So let's wrap this up with some real talk. Sleeping with a younger man is not the issue. The issue is why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what you're expecting from it. There are too many incredible women walk into these connections thinking they can handle casual, thinking they don't need anything serious, only to wake up months later feeling empty. confused, realize that they're, or worse, ashamed for ignoring their own intuition. This isn't about avoiding younger men. It's about refusing to abandon yourself of a connection that can't meet you. You are not here to be anyone's fantasy escape, experiment, or ego boost. You're here to be cherished, respected, and chosen. Not just for your body, not just for your energy there, but for everything you are. If a younger man can't meet you where you stand emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, it's not your job to wait around hoping he matures. Your job is to know your worth well enough to walk when the connection starts costing your peace, your confidence, or your dignity. So here's your challenge egg. Stop making excuses for men who show you their limits. Start asking the uncomfortable questions. Start showing up with honesty, not performance. And most of all, start trusting that your standards scare the right man away. They filter the wrong ones out. If this message hit home for you, it's time to take a breath. Get radically honest with yourself and ask, am I acting from power or from fear? Because you deserve more than just attention. You deserve devotion. Don't settle for sparks when you were built for fire. And if you're ready to live love and lead from your strength, then that love, no matter his age, will never require you to shrink.